And we are live with another broadcast on the Roofing on the Rise. And we are sponsored by Roofing Supply Incorporated in the Houston marketplace, where you can get your shingles from me. Give me a call, 210-919-8987. Again, 210-919-8987. I get you hooked up with a great account over at RSI. We are also sponsored by West Group Public Adjusters. West Group Public Adjusters does just that. They are a public adjusting firm that helps with claim management all around the United States. They do umpire, appraisals, and if you're looking for an awesome partner to help all your clients, West Group Public Adjusting is the company to go with. We are in Dallas, Texas today. We're actually at the RCAT committee and board meetings. We just got done with our board meeting for today, and I am sitting here with Ty, the president of the RCAT. Ty, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Absolutely, I'm doing great. This is exciting to be able to be a part of this.
Well, thank you very much. You've really impacted our meeting this week positively. It's our quarterly summer meeting. We had a good sense here today. We had most of the board members live and in person. We're getting out for a summer retreat, actually to sit around and talk off the cuff too about roofing issues and our legislative session for the year that has come and gone. Again, we'd like to thank you, Marquise, for coming out here and actually, I think we're going to put you on board here in the next meeting.
Man, I appreciate that. It really does mean a lot. I just want to help, and I know that's what everyone here wants to do. We want to help. We want to drive the industry in a better way than what it was before. And I feel like if more people would do that, then I think the stigma of the trucks in the truck, and I know you hear that a lot, but it's true that that'll start to eradicate, and we'll see a lot healthier of an economy.
Well, I agree with you, and I think that the reason that the stigma of two chucks in a truck or a chuck in the truck, excuse me, that stigma is hit because a lot of people got into the roofing industry without doing their homework. They've tried to copycat other people. There's actually a science to roofing. And, the average roofer, I think, is less than 2 years in the industry. You really need to know what you're before you get into the industry. You need to know the products. You need to know the logistics side of the business. You also need to understand, basic sales concepts. And I think that that's missed throughout the industry. Before I came into the roofing industry, I had, 15 years street sales experience for point of sale systems. And anybody knows if you ever try to call on restaurant owners and try to convince them to spend $12,000-$15,000 on a cash register system, that's a tough sale.
Yeah.
Actually, roofing sales I found was easier, but where it gets more complicated is that you end up going against people or your so-called competitors that don't fully understand value sell. They always want to go for the price tag, and especially in the state of Texas, the philosophy is buyer beware. And, there's a lot of deception out there, and there's a lot of disparity amongst products. You can get anything from a 25-year workmanship warranty with a great company like GAF to no warranty and good luck the next time you get a mild windstorm of them staying on the roof.
Yeah. And that's kind of the that is the stigma. And if we don't do something about it, it will never change. It's kind of like the voting process. If you're familiar with voting, you know that to actually carry any weight, you have to be a delegate, and you have to go to the convention to be able to be heard and get that vote put up in there. And that's where the change happens, when you get up in there, and they're going over the issues at a cellular level, right? And everyone doesn't necessarily agree. That's not what this is about. This is about hammering out the issues. If we don't agree on it, that's fine, but we're going to vote on it.
Yeah, I mean, elections have consequences, and people are starting to see that from the last presidential election. Like it or not, um, the previous president did a hell of a lot better job, economy wise, business wise, um, even security wise. And we're sitting here today, reaping uh, reading the election results from the 2020 election, and even looking forward here. Um, you know, if you want a lawless society, if you want to invest money and lose it, having people who don't want to enforce the laws, and that is part of the problem in the state of Texas.
Yeah.
We have laws on the books. What we have an issue with is enforcement.
Yeah.
We have a deductible law on the books, which
Yep.
says that you're not allowed to waive a deductible. It's a Class B misdemeanor. However, that due to the lawlessness of other crimes being committed that are causing victims and damage, you're having people, you're having the district attorneys without the will to go after law, the deductible bill. And the deductible bill, the deductible law was put on the books to protect homeowners, to make that homeowners are getting everything that they're being, that they're entitled to, so that they're not being deceived, they're not being shortchanged. The issue I have though is that, again, you have people that have created business that don't report their income
Yeah.
for tax purposes, that don't have the proper licensing and insurance. They lie to homeowners by saying that they're licensed, bonded, and insured, and there's really nobody there to enforce whether or not that they have all those all the paperwork in place and are following the rules.
So I know the deductible law. I know it all. But could you tell me what that is for our viewers, please?
Well, the deductible law came into place because we found that people are coming in from out of state. And in fact, the states they're coming in from have a very strict law on having to follow paying the deductible. Every year you get your insurance policy, and at the top of your insurance policy, it asks you what level of deductible you want. As a homeowner, you cut corn and you want a high deductible, you pay a low premium. However, if you have a claim that happens, you're going to pay quite a bit of money for the deductible. And in this state and in many other states, you have to pay the deductible. Or
According to HB 2102.
Yeah,
So
2102.
that is our House bill for the deductible law. And a lot of people, and we were talking this earlier, actually, they feel that since they're not going to get in trouble, that they'll just eat the deductibles all day, right?
Yeah.
What kind of effect does that have on not only our economy but also the law that we just got passed?
Well, let's start back with, let's say you got a $30,000 claim.
Okay.
And you have a 2% deductible. Okay. So you do the math on that and you work it out. You're taking, the 2% deductible off the $30,000, if you don't pay your deductible. So that means right now you're already in the negative.
Yeah.
And the claims are done through a software that puts out the cost of labor in your market, puts out the cost of material in your market, puts out the permit fees and any other fees that come along, and also pay for damages that were caused, like to windows, to lawn, to those things. And you can utilize the fees from that stuff that you're being paid, or that amount of money from the claim. You can utilize that towards your deductible. But the situation comes in is you're going to get lesser product on your roof. You're going to get lesser quality workmanship on the roof. Again, the numbers that come in that claim paperwork are the average cost to do business in your area, your geographical area. And by not paying that money on that insurance claim, you're putting yourself in two positions: getting a bad quality product, and you're also putting yourself in the position of not getting, committing a crime too, which is fraud.
Yeah.
You know, in the state of Texas, you're not allowed to profit from an insurance claim,
Mm.
and people are doing it.
Yep. Right too.
I mean, I can't tell you how many times we go to a job and the first words out of the customer's mouth are, "I need something back on this." And our answer is, "Well, we don't give anything back, and we're probably not your roofer.
Mm.
Have a nice day." Oh, no, no, no. Wait a minute. Let's go through this. Well, the guy that came in here before, yeah, I understand that. But the guy that came in here before may not even be working on a dining room table, maybe working out
Mm.
of the front seat of his truck
Yeah.
or his car. And, you know, the other deceptive practice that's going on out there is that people are walking around saying that they're licensed, bonded, and insured.
Mm.
Um,
Mm.
that's a big warning
I see
sign
that
right
on the
there.
side of trucks all the time. And man, if you're in Houston, I'm not going to talk about Dallas because it's not my hometown. And I'm classy like that. But Houston, all the time, contractors take that off, or I'm going to make a little roster list and I'm going to make a little video about it because it's wrong, guys. Let's stop this. But Ty, I want to reel back in a little bit, right? So we kind of jumped full force. We're really passionate about this. That's what really like we click on so many levels. Cigars, our passion for legislator, our passion for sobriety. There's a lot of ways that we have that just mesh. But business ownership is another one of those things. You are also a business owner, correct?
Yes, I'm part owner of Smith and Ramirez Restoration out of El Paso, Texas.
Awesome, awesome. And how long have you guys been in business?
We've been in business since 2012. We're going on our 11th year.
Wow. So that is definitely that 2-year mark. And I know, we were talking about that because most contractor, most 1099, when you decide that you're going to do your own thing, it ain't making it past 2 years most of the time.
No, it doesn't. Unfortunately, though, in the 2 years or less that some of these contractors are in the business, they cause a substantial amount of damage. They make an incredible amount of promises that they can't finish with, or they can't carry through on. Again, though, like we were just talking about being licensed, bonded, and insured. One of the biggest problems with making that statement, and most homeowners don't understand this. If somebody falls off of your roof and that man is not properly insured,
Mm.
you as the homeowner could be facing, and I'm not a lawyer and I'm not here quoting laws or telling you what will happen. It could not be very good for you as a homeowner. Also, the permitting process, not every city in Texas has a permit requirement. And also, not every city in Texas has a bond requirement. And if
Yeah.
they do, it's not a performance bond, which means that it's a code bond 99% of the time. And that code bond means that unless you have a code violation, you have very little protection. And a lot of times,
Mm.
the code bond is not a lot of money. In my city of El Paso, the code bond is $25,000.
Mm.
That really doesn't cover a lot
No.
when you get down to it.
Yeah.
And then there's a lawyer that's going to decide whether that code bond gets paid out, and he's going to get a chunk of it before you even touch it. So buyer, really beware. Do your homework. I've had customers come in my office and say, "I want to see your insurance certificate. I wanted to see that you have a physical address that's a business, not a house." And those are all legitimate and definitely doing your due diligence to make sure that you have the right person coming through the door.
That's very prudent there to offer to everyone, especially consumers. One thing that a lot of people there is a blinder on the eyes of a lot of contractors out there that think that an organization like RCAT is just in the business of making money and or um, it's a popularity contest. It is most certainly not that. Um, the organizations like RCAT and HARCA have been around for a little while, and they have been driven by members that are involved, and I'm talking heavily involved. One that I know of particularly is Sandy Farrell. Big shout out to Sandy Farrell down in Houston. She's influential. She's the reason why I am on the HARCA board. I wanted to give back. I didn't know how to do it. I'm young. I'm 31 years old, and
That
she
is young.
came to me and she said, well, if you want to give back, why don't you join the board? And I'd never thought of that. And so it was an amazing way for me to be able to give back. The reason why I'm saying that is we need people that are out there that you vibe with us, that you want the same things, and it may not be the exact same things. Maybe you disagree with the legislation that we're wanting to push for licensing in Texas. Come and vote on it, right? But the majority of contractors want a license in Texas. So that's kind of the next thing I'd like to talk about is the legislation that just went to the House. Could you give us a little insight on that?
Well, we didn't get a license bill carried to the floor. We didn't get support for legislators on that issue, and
Mm,
it's unfortunate
yeah.
because I think that there's hidden agendas in all kinds of politics, and there's hidden agendas here. We don't quite know who our opposition is. I can't imagine a roofer in the state of Texas that would be against a license. Um,
There are quite a few,
eh,
and I'm sure we'll get some comments, but and I vibe with you though. I feel the same way because for me, I knocked doors. I did that. I bid against a lot of different people, and I lost a lot of jobs because of what was going on. The two chuck in the truck mentality. The I'm going to go buy shingles from the resale, turn around and nail it up there, slap on some NP1 and get out. And now people like you are going to go back to a property like that and you have to fix it and you have to tell the homeowner that the last person that they paid didn't do their job right. So now that cheap fix is now the most expensive fix that they ever had.
well, that's the old saying: you got price and cost.
Yeah.
Okay, what's the roof cost you, or what's the price?
Mm.
Okay, so at the end of the whole transaction, and once you get your roof on, how much did it cost you after you had to hire somebody to pay for to repair the roof? And the price was, let's say, $13,000. The cost ended up being 20,000, and the insurance claim was 18,000. So you tried to save yourself, you know, $5,000, and it ended up costing you another two because of the repair that needed to be done from the initial installation. Think about it. Why would you want to cut your own? That's the biggest investment you've ever made in your life is your house.
Yeah.
And why would you come in and not pay the money which you're supposed to use for the claim
Hmm.
to redo your roof? And believe me, guys, if you're doing the roofing business properly, you're not driving around in an $80,000 truck. You're not living in a $600,000 home. Okay. You're living modest lifestyle and you're paying your bills, because you can ask anybody that works at a supply house, you can ask the sales reps at the supply house. Most roofers end up getting themselves in trouble that don't know how to run a business.
Yeah.
And, a lot of these guys, I can tell you that I've had ex employees that have worked for me for um, less than 6 months and tried to run out on their own and open a roofing company, because that's what they call stealing the trade. They're trying to steal the trade. They go out there, open it. They don't have a clue
I'm so
technically.
tired of this crap.
Yeah, I mean, they don't know technically how to install a roof.
How
And
can you properly like how can you look at someone in the eye and say you're covered? I got you taken care of.
good question.
I just there there's a part of me, a large part of me that has to sleep at night. And I was a contractor for 11 years. It is it is disheartening to see the landscaping crew put on a roof the next day. We were talking about this last night.
Yeah, you see the landscaping trailer full with lawnmowers one day and weed whackers. The next day, it's full of shingles and up on the roof, throwing on roofing because it's easy to do. It's not easy to do.
No.
It won't look right if you don't do it. Number one, aesthetically. Number two, it will not keep water out. any roofing product to use, the whole goal is to keep the water out of the inside of whatever you're covering it with, whatever you're covering. Um, but back to the legislature this year, what we tried to do was get the insurance companies to enforce the deductible bill, which means they won't release your depreciation until you prove that you've paid your deductible. And
I
by the
like
way,
that.
most of the insurance companies are doing that right now. They're
Yeah.
asking you for proof of payment of the deductible. Um,
I would think that the insurance companies would be on board with this then.
well, the insurance companies are, for the most part.
Yeah.
I don't think that they're the issue in the equation here. I think the issue in the equation here is that making deductibles unrealistic. I know in the
Yeah.
DFW market, even Houston market, I haven't worked in those markets in a very long time, but I do understand that if it's a named peril like a hailstorm or a hurricane, it's a significant amount of money for a
Yep.
deductible. And if you think that there's $10,000 in an
Two
insurance
to five
claim,
percent now.
yeah. What I'm saying is, if you think in a claim that there's $10,000 to $15,000 of flexibility, it, there isn't, because the material alone on these jobs I mean, the material prices have, pre-storm in my market, I was paying $78 a square. We're well over $100 a square since COVID.
Yep.
Um,
Set to increase again.
yeah, and I mean, it's not. And I
In
hear,
allocation, like we're in a special time right now. And if consumers aren't careful, and if contractors as well don't do their due diligence with their projects, then we're going to be running into some pretty heavy issues here in the next 6 to 12 months. Um, and one of the main driving factors for putting in this legislator is people like us. Right now, I'm just now jumping onto this. You've been on a committee for how long?
uh, this is my 10th year here at
That's a
RCAT.
decade.
Yeah.
A decade. It takes time to get this done. Um, you know, I hear a lot from a lot of my viewers like, well, what are the benefits of joining RCAT or joining RCAT? Uh, one of them is to be able to take that voluntary license. Uh, you know, there are set requirements. I learned today that there were 5 people that were kicked off of RCAT this year, right? That makes me feel a little bit better about how the selection process is done. That's one thing that was brought up to me was, well, oh, you just pay and then you're a member. That's not that's not how it works.
No, we have, especially trying to get your license with us, we're very strict on it. We don't let people front for licenses. I had an instance where an individual person called me up and said, I want to take your license. I want to take your licensing test and get your license. And I said, okay. Are you the owner of the company? He said, no, my wife is. And I said, well, your wife would have to take the test then. And when she passes it, then she could delegate that you can take the test too. We have very strict
Mm,
criteria. We don't let anybody just do it. You have to prove that you've been in business for 2 years. You have to prove that your company has insurance. You have to prove that you have a level of competency by taking a pretty thorough test, and it's a 3-level test. It's you got the general knowledge of roofing, then you also have the business test, and then there's a residential, commercial, and then you still have to take the business portion of the test, because we believe that you need to have some proficiency in business, understanding basic business concepts, because that's really where the people fail is, I can't tell you how many times I've heard from the supply houses where, the guy's got a $20,000 job. He's got a $12,000 material bill, and all of a sudden he shows up with a new sports car
mm,
because he forgot to pay that supply house bill. Meanwhile, the supply house is ready to, because you got to give a personal guarantee on
yep.
that stuff. So what do? They come after you.
Yep.
And it's just it's bad business for all of us. I think that, we need industry wide right now. We need the manufacturers, we need the supply house, and we need the roofing contractors. And it's happening to unite and to come together and really tighten the industry up. And I don't like to look to government for solutions. Government does very little right.
Yeah.
They have trouble collecting the president's kids' taxes. They
Yeah.
have trouble,
Yeah.
enforcing many of the laws that are on the books. And I think that in the long run, um, we need contractor participation. We need to grow the organization, and even it's all happens at the local level. And let your legislators hear from you about what you're facing out there. I'm all about competition, but it needs to be fair and free.
Yeah.
And you can't put your thumb on the scale and weigh it in one direction. That doesn't work in capitalism, and we can't overregulate this industry. They're already trying to do that nationally with several different things. One of them is they're trying to go after silica,
Mm.
which is an element in clay,
Yeah.
and they're going after the tile industry. Um, you know, there's a lot of OSHA issues out there with the organization itself. And we really need to hear from the contractors, and our organization going to battle with this. I was in Washington D.C. this year, lobbying on National Roofing Day. Our the biggest hit that we're taking in this industry right now is labor. We can't find enough people to put roofs on,
Yeah.
and people that want to go into roofing. Hey, roofing's a great trade. You get good at roofing, you can make a great living for yourself and your family. However, I mean, it is hard work. There's no doubt about it. It is warm. I mean, any of us that are living in Texas right now are probably living triple digits.
Mm-hmm.
Even in the north part of Texas, we're in over 100
hot.
degrees, and to try to put a roof on like that, and it can be difficult.
Absolutely. So I want to hone in on what drew you to RCAT.
I wanted to make a difference in my industry. I wanted to be involved in my industry. It's you got to give back to what's given to you. You got to get involved in your industry. You got to understand. RCAT, actually, to take the test for your license, you have to get a series of books that are specific to the roofing industry. And part of that roofing test that we take covers roofing systems that not everybody uses, but you should still understand how they're utilized.
Mm.
Like, for example, tile.
Yeah.
In my market, tile is very popular because we live in the desert. Perhaps in the Houston marketplace, tile may be more of on a luxury home than on a standard house. In my market, it's on standard houses.
Yeah.
Some of the higher end roofing systems like slate roofs, which is really an art. Those are, expensive roofs. But these type of roofing systems have a longer life than a shingle roof would have. Years ago, they used to call it a 30-year shingle. Now they call it a lifetime shingle. The products are being made much better now.
Yeah.
But you can't sit here and go, well, that'll be a lifetime. In the shingle manufacturer's mind, a lifetime is 50 years.
Yeah.
That's what they call a lifetime. And
Yeah.
in most cases it is, because, you're usually owning a home after 20. So, I mean, if you make it over the national average, you might see a second roof if the product makes it that long. But in the state of Texas, we get hit with some big hail.
Man, this
That
year
stuff
has
is
been
huge.
abnormal for hail. I mean, absolutely. I'm literally gorilla hail in Waco. Dallas had some, not necessarily gorilla style, but has had quite a bit of hail, large hail. Houston has had quite a few, absolutely abnormal for the amount of hailstorms for this year, which has put distribution into a pinch, but has also put a lot of sales reps into a mode, and it's two different modes. It's ordering or selling. And you got to be careful that you're not out there taking orders, that you're out there selling your jobs, because if you go out there and just take orders, you're going to eat deductibles. you're going to end up trying to find a way for them to get their deductible swallowed with some extra whatever. And we're not at that point, not pushing our industry into a better light. Not to mention the fact that every single one of my contemporaries has talked about pricing being an issue, right? Exactimate pricing. Well, if people eat deductibles and if you drop your prices, do you think our prices are going to go up or go up significantly? No. Also, prices go up bad. No, it's not. It is healthy for the market. Um, what's your intake on the rise in material costs and allocations right now?
Well, you know, when when fuel goes up, shingles are very heavy. Just about every roofing product is heavy. I mean, even get into your TPOs, they come in 10 footers, 6 footers, 3 footers, 4 footers, 8 footers. Um, and they that stuff all requires substantial trucking. And trucks take fuel. Um, to make all these products, they're all petroleum based products of some sort. So again, it has a ripple effect when you raise the price of gas or you raise the price of crude oil. It goes all through our industry, and it hurts because everything in roofing has a petroleum base to it. There's not one product out there that I'm aware of that doesn't have a petroleum element of some sort into it, or petroleum is required to start the process. Um, that's a factor. Electricity is going up. All the inputs into making a product are going sky high, and of course your product is going to go up. Your labor costs are going up, and it's the
Of
labor side
course.
of it. The labor side of it, again, is these are good factory paying jobs, but it's hard to fill those positions. And if you see the factories that are being built now, they're being built in business friendly states.
Yeah.
Texas has been benefiting greatly from it. GAF is building a 500,000 square facility in Georgetown, Texas.
Mm,
That they're going to be
that's
building
big.
solar shingles, not panels, solar shingles.
Oh, big shout out
Um,
to GAF and your ES solar shingles. They're pretty
yeah, I mean
badass.
that's an American made product. That's not made in China and getting put on a boat and getting shipped over, and waiting to get offloaded off a boat out at the sea. Um, these are game changing products, and actually taking the technology now to where you're looking at it going, wow, that is cool. Not that it's in the
Yeah.
drawing boards, it's on the Jetsons.
Oh, it
Uh,
looks definite. It is 100% different than rack mounted solar. We kind of went back and forth on heat transfer last night on it. Your thoughts about it, being that it's on TPO and TPO doesn't transfer heat like that. At the way in which that I was speaking last night. This material is just different. When you hook it up, uh, absolutely everything. It's not like throwing on a rack mounted solar system. It is a design system, and you have got to be a craftsman to put that on.
well, it takes more than just simply nail and nails.
Yes,
It's still simple to install, but
it's not a slate roof, but
it,
it's close.
if you start looking too at some of the newer building products, like years ago, everything was hot tar and
Oh God,
hot mop and those kind of systems, and they didn't have any energy efficiency.
yeah,
They really didn't have much insulation value. I mean, now you've got insulation board going on the roof first.
mm-hmm.
Looking at single plies. I mean, single plies now are actually becoming obsolete over time here,
Yeah,
because you're getting more into liquid applied. You're actually making
a lot.
you're making the membrane right
Yep,
on the roof. You don't have any seams to deal with.
yep.
Getting around penetrations is very easy to do. Getting into corners. Liquid applied is the wave of the future. And I'm not talking coatings, but there are liquid applied membranes that have the emulsifier in it, which is the firming action and the foundation coating. And then you have a top coat going over the top. So you got the scrim, You
Yep.
got the foundation, and then you got the top coat that protects it from the sun. All of these elements are being made now on the roof, and it's a cold application. There's no, like spray foam years ago where you had to have a reactor mixing the two-part chemical together, and it comes out of the tip of the gun, and then it dries in 30 seconds. I mean, these new liquid applied membranes, it takes a little longer than 30 seconds to dry. It
Yeah.
probably takes in the direct sun in the summer, it'll
Right.
take about 3 to 4 hours. But the whole industry is changing, and roofing contractors, especially skilled ones, need to keep up with the times. I can't imagine within the next 5 to 10 years that no matter what roofing system you're putting on, that there's not going to be an element of solar in it that's
Oh
actually going to
man.
be producing energy. I think that you're also consolidations in the industry right now is a big issue. You have a lot of smaller companies being gobbled up by bigger private equity companies.
Yep.
Duralast was just purchased.
What?
Firestone was just purchased.
Really? I actually
Malarkey
worked
was
on a
just purchased.
Duralast crew when I first started. Like that was what I did.
Yeah. I mean, you got bigger companies buying those up and putting them into portfolios and
Man.
actually, and creating a.
BP got bought out by Certainteed.
Sure.
Yeah, there are a lot of mergers and acquisitions going on right now. Roofing companies too.
Yeah. Yeah, that's happening too. Private equity are buying up some of the smaller roofing companies and trying to build bigger ones and trying to, create branches in all major cities. And but again, a lot of the problem with the purchasing of the roofing companies that I'm hearing about and I'm seeing is again, the labor factor.
Yeah.
It's hard to find qualified salespeople that actually can go out and sell the product. We focus a lot on the physical labor of actually installing the roof, but we also have another side of the problem, and it is customer service and being able to go to somebody's house, present to them, and show them their different roofing options. We have a lot of people that show up and throw up. They want to, and they don't sit there and they don't educate the customer on their options. Let them know that, hey, you got this. This is possible. That's possible. And that's another issue, like I said, with a lot of the private equity companies buying up the individual roofing contractors are, again, you got to look at the labor force. It's not very good right now.
What do you think are the biggest what do you think are the biggest reasons why you believe a contractor should join RCAT or HARCA or any other local organization that's a branch off of RCAT?
Well, I think for the education in itself, I mean, in a nutshell, not all of us are politicians. Not all of us are accountants, lawyers. And we have accountants and lawyers in our organization that are also associate members of our organization. But you get a hell of an education here. You sit down with peers. We have everybody from maybe somebody under $1 million a year in gross receipts to, people that are well over $100 million in our organization. And, when you come out of these meetings, you always come out with a nugget.
Yeah.
You're not going to come out with a business plan of how to go and attack your business, because anybody that's been in the business a while knows that everybody at every different level in the business hits different milestones and hurdles.
Yeah.
And to get over that hurdle, if I went and told you, when you hit the $2 million mark, you're going to hit this and you're only doing $500,000 a year, you're not going to relate to that problem. And, until you get to that level at 2 million, you've got to, you got to understand what you're getting into before, because if you come and ask me, well, what if I do this or that? And it's like, well, are you there yet? Because you're asking me the wrong question. This is the question you should be asking me. So rather than me giving you that nugget right now, here's the nugget I'm going to give you for where you're at. So, always scale yourself and ask the questions that are pertinent to you at the time. Don't, daydreaming's good, and, dare to dream is good, but, be careful what you wish for, and don't overmarket either to where you can't handle your volume of customers, because that's another problem I see a lot of roofers get into. And I think that RCAT does a good job of helping you scale your business. RCAT has a great staff. I mean, I can't tell you, Sarah Ramon does an amazing job for our organization.
Big shout out to Sarah.
Yeah, Sarah's, really taken the organization in the last 10 years to new levels. Her staff is just, I mean, they're spot on and they work with you, they point you in the right direction. We have very talented people as associate members of this organization. All the major supply houses are members. Even the smaller supply houses are members.
Ooh.
um, but by having this is the biggest attempt at putting the whole industry together, and Texas is I believe, the largest roofing market in the world. um,
Wow.
I think more roofs are put on in the state of Texas than any other state for sure, but I'm pretty sure in any other country too, for that matter, because it's just booming here in Texas. I mean, you go over to Georgetown. I think you got Samsung going in over there. You got Tesla going in over there. I mean, they're not building small factories.
No, these
over
are
there.
big.
They're
big.
huge.
Yeah.
You got the oil industry in Houston. It's always building something over there.
Always.
We
have Amazon warehouses go up all over Houston. All over Houston. I mean, if you go on Kirkendall and 99 and you stop at a gas station, you will nonstop see the new Amazon all electric delivery vehicles. And they're just constantly at the red light, at the red light, at the red light. It's booming. It's huge. It's insane. The amount of roof that goes on in the Houston marketplace is baffling.
And I think that with the amount of roofing that goes on, it shows you that the amount of growth that's going on. Also, we're talking about new builds there, but let's talk about re-roofing.
Yep.
I mean, you got buildings that are coming up on time for re-roofs. Walmart's probably one of the biggest re-roofing entities.
Yep.
I know companies that's all they do is Walmart remodels.
Yep.
Or re-roofs, and those are pretty significant sized roofs. I think that other companies, Target, all those large big box retailers, who have been doing business in the state for years and years and years, I'm pretty sure that every one of those companies is doing a re-roof in the state of Texas somewhere every day. So again, RCAT can really help you grow your business anywhere from up to $1 million to 100 million or more. And the contacts here. I had a past president and RCAT member call me in El Paso and say, "Hey, I want to bid a job. Can you go out there and measure it? I'll pay you to go do it." And I said, "Yeah, I'll help you out." And I didn't even charge him to go out and do a workup of the roof for him, take a sample and all that. Because
that's awesome.
I mean, he would do it for me.
Yeah.
It's kind of one of those fraternal things too, where you help a brother out, the brother's going to help you out.
Yeah. That's what I really, really like about these organizations. I was trying to put like and love together, and it just didn't work. What one big takeaway from RCAT or HARCA or another organization branched from RCAT? What one big takeaway would you give to contractors that would just tell them to go and join now?
Well, I mean, I've talked about the education side. I've talked about the coaching side. You know, I think it's a good feeling when you can say, I helped somebody do something. On the philanthropic side of things, we help out. A couple of years, we've donated bikes to, I can't remember the organization, but there was an organization up here. The roofing contractors here in the DFW market, donated a bunch of bikes at Christmas time. It's what you want to get out of it. If you have a great idea and something philanthropic you want to come in here with, or something for the good of the industry, we're always willing to listen and to take the time.
We give back to our lobbyists. Well, that's another one. Like this organization is just that. We are in a $1 million organization that is out there to take care of this industry and drive the industry in a positive way. We want to make sure that contractors get a multitude of different amenities that come with the RCAT membership, but also to help educate them and to drive them to be better.
Well, we are the lobbying arm of the roofing industry,
Yes.
and a lot of times laws are written, and if you don't have a seat at the table to put some ingredients into those laws and make sure that they're fair for your industry, you're going to have a hard time, surviving as an
Yep.
industry. So we have a legislative body here that keep up with everything that's going on. We actually put bills forward every year. We fight for licensing. Look, guys, I mean, you can have any feeling you want about licensing. Okay. The only way to make sure that homeowners don't get ripped off, and I have a big problem for the consumer in Texas that gets lied to by a lot of roofing
Yeah.
people. You've probably seen the thing claim specialist.
Yeah.
You're not allowed to
No.
walk around and tell. There's no such thing as a claims specialist. And again, these are all things that have been put into the place. You think about it, you got to have a license to cut fingernails and to put fingernail polish on.
Yep.
But anybody can go and slap a roofing name on the side of their truck and go start nailing shingles on a roof, and when it rains because they weren't nailed right, and have water running down their walls, ceilings collapsing.
It is just appalling.
But I got to have a license though to trim your toenails. It's your toenails will grow back. What's not going to grow back is that ceiling that falls down, probably almost hurts you. I mean, again, if you want to protect the biggest investment you have, use somebody that has a CAT license. It's a voluntary program. It's not mandated by the state, but it sets the contractor well above the rest or even the average contractor out there. And you're going to get a buy for your money. Also, you can go to rcat.com or rooftex.com. Those two websites will put you in touch with our members. It'll tell you who's licensed. Also, you can call RCAT, and we operate Monday to Friday from 8 to 5. Anytime you call that number, if they're tied up with a call, they will call you back and they will give you information that you need. They're not going to refer you. They're going to refer you to the website, but they will let you know that our members are going to take care of you. If you have a complaint about one of our members, please call, and they will be happy. And we have a whole disciplinary board. And we have an ethics board that will go through and check on the claim. We've had some unrealistic complaints that have come through, and we're not here to persecute anybody. We're not, we're all competitors sitting at the table here, but we're not, because we're all here to help each other. And I'm not going to go over and steal a job from somebody. That doesn't mean I'm not going to go and bid against them.
Right.
So it's not an organization that is fixing the industry at all. What we do is we sit down here, we collaborate, we throw ideas back and forth. We don't tell each other how to run their businesses. But if you got a question or a concern, we're happy to help you with it.
Man, I love it. Ty, thank you so much for coming on to the podcast today. It has been another live stream on the Roofing on the Rise broadcast. Again, we are so happy to have you on.
Thank you.
This was so awesome. And shout out to our sponsors, Roofing Supply Incorporated, not only for sponsoring the podcast, but also for making the trip happen for not only Roofing Supply Incorporated, but for the Roof Dawn. Thank you so much, Roofing Supply Incorporated and West Group Public Adjusting. If you are looking for an awesome shingle distributor, I'm the guy for you. 210-919-8987. Again, 210-919-8987. And again, if you're looking for an awesome public adjuster, the West Group Public Adjusting is the way to go. And our last sponsor, I always introduce at the last because it is the most important thing to do, is to click my rep card. You can join RCAT and RCAT by just clicking the rep card link that I will add to this stream. Again, it was an awesome live stream. Ty, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
You guys have